It is now time for the main event. Are you ready, Wild Bills? In the red corner, 27 years old, 5'7", 165 pounds, fighting out of Alexandria, Louisiana, for Bulls Gym, fights under the banner of Dana Pritchard Productions. With a record of 7 wins, no losses, red corner, Kalvin Hackney. His opponent tonight in this main event, mixed martial arts scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds. 37 years old, at a height of 5'8", 165 pounds, fighting out of Alpharetta, Georgia. Fighting for Millsap. Blue corner, with a professional record of 6 wins, 2 losses, Millsap. Welcome to round 1 of your main events for the Hooters Ring Card Girl. Special thanks to Steve Hunter, Full Throttle Entertainment. It's Wild Bills Fight Night. Let me hear you scream.
Welcome to Wild Bills Fight Night, the main event of the evening. This is Frank Millsap coming up against Kalvin Hackney. We got Atlanta versus Louisiana.
Yeah, this should be an interesting matchup because Frank looked really good in the last fight I saw him, and he showed a lot of improvement, a lot of composure, and he's stepping it up a little, fighting some stiff competition. So this should be an interesting fight.
Frank's a tough dude, but you can't count Kalvin Hackney out. I'm Kyle Maynard, sitting here with Kevin Gittemeyer. We're going to get ready to go and watch the main event. Just got done watching a tremendously exciting fight in Diamond Jones versus Dave Hewlett. Let's hope this one can live up to the hype.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's been an unbelievable night of fights.
Immediately going for that takedown right away, Frank.
Yeah, he timed that well. Now, Kalvin came in with a big punch, but Frank timed it well.
I think Frank's one of the guys that he's confident in anywhere that this fight's going to go. He's definitely got the age experience coming into this fight. Frank being 37, I believe, 37 years old. He's a gritty, tough dude. A good friend of mine and great competitor. One of the nicest guys in the sport.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm surprised Kalvin went for that big punch right off the bat. Frank's a known wrestler. A lot of time guys try to time a knee for that, but usually it's better to test your range, test their shot a little bit, get your timing down, your footwork.
Yeah, I think, just the emotion of coming into the main event, you got to wonder if this is a position that Kalvin's been in before. Coming out there looking to go and throw that huge knockout. KO and an experienced veteran like Millsap in 15 seconds would have been something to add to Kalvin's, I believe, undefeated resume. So it's something that...
Yeah, that's nice, but the experience and the longevity makes you a better fighter, though. Those 15-second fights don't prepare you quite as much as one where you have to answer the bell. Now, you bring up an interesting point about the main event. A lot of fighters have issue with that. Me particularly, it didn't change anything. I've headlined 5 or 6 of these cards here. Headline cards for other promoters. It's all the same to me. It's a fight, it's a competition. You try to do the best you can. I don't care if it's first fight or last fight.
I had the opportunity to go in and interview Frank Millsap before this fight, and on our new MMA TV show. Great. Kalvin over the takedown and slam.
Excellent takedown. Now he set that escape up with the underhook, and he was looking for that knee.
Frank's looking to scramble out. He's got his back taken. Got to control that hand and keep his rear naked choke from getting sunk in.
Now, as we discussed earlier, he did an excellent job sliding from mount to take the back. But
great scrambling. This is a great grappling exhibition here.
But it is risky, as we just saw. Anytime you take mount, it's risky. He did a good job of taking the back, but he didn't have both hooks in.
Kalvin was barely able to keep that second hook from getting secured. If he did, Frank would have been in big trouble.
Kalvin's got excellent hips, so he scoots his hips out every time. He's got double unders now. Now, Millsap's doing a good job, though. Oh, excellent hips, both men.
Frank with some collegiate wrestling experience, and that doesn't work from there. The headlock slips.
Well, I tell you what, it just barely slipped, though.
Kalvin's got to watch the back of the head here getting worn by referee Blake Rice.
Those are big. Those are big shots. But let's not underestimate the amount of skill and the work these guys have just put in. Those hip throws, tosses, scrambles, I mean, that's years and years of training.
That experience is going to show. I hope we get to see this fight go the full distance.
I hope so too. Frank's got to get out of this though, because
Frank's in a dangerous position.
Kalvin looks a little too powerful here. His punches are big.
Kalvin staying comfortable. He's staying right here. Comfortable right here in that pocket, going and trying to work underneath there.
I like the way he's using his knee in there, create a little space. If he gets a big body shot, he'll take it. He's trying to bar that arm, though, for control.
Trying to bar it for control. He was almost working that old school wrestling half Nelson there, which we don't see in MMA too much.
Yeah, absolutely. If he could have rolled him over, he'd have liked to drop an elbow on that transition.
Frank, though, has got great composure here right now.
I mean, you can hear that echo through here. That's unbelievable. They might have warned him for hitting the back of the head because that was a big crack. Now, the problem here is a lot of fighters will turn their head right as they're about to get hit. So you might have a shot towards the ear, and they turn their head, and it's the back of the head.
We've got 1 point taken away by Kalvin Hackney. I believe the rule is that if the punch is in motion as the heads turn, if it's in motion, then it's not going to be counted as an illegal strike. But that's up to the referee's discretion, like we talked about in the last fight. Things happen so fast. It's hard for even a good ref like Blake Rice, an experienced one.
Oh, it's extremely difficult. And from our vantage point, we couldn't tell. So we didn't see. That could have been blatant. When you're throwing big power punches, it's hard to be real accurate. And, you know, he may have slipped and hit him in the back of the head.
Frank's going to have enough time here. I believe he's got the full 5 minutes if he needs it to be able to come back and get his composure.
The problem is being down a point almost guarantees you lost the round. So Hackney's almost definitely down this round. So
yeah, the best he can come out of it is tie.
He can't let that happen again.
If Millsap's able to go and turn it around and be able to do some damage in the second half of this round, then he could be able to take a 10-8, which could really turn this fight upside down for Hackney.
Yeah, it's nearly impossible to win a decision after you've lost a 10-8 round. It's nearly impossible. Number one, because you lost a 10-8 round, it's unlikely you're going to come back that big.
You know, after some of the bombs that these guys were throwing, I honestly thought this fight might go to the distance and go to the decision.
Yeah.
But both these guys have knockout power, and we might see it.
I question whether to go to decision.
Hackney is a guy short, stocky, condensed, but Millsap is just, I mean, this is his first time down to 165 pounds. He's fought at larger weight classes before.
Oh, good right hand by Millsap.
Millsap's really worked on and focused on his boxing in this.
Yeah, if he can keep mixing that up with his takedowns, he's got solid takedowns. Like I said, his last fight really impressed me. He became a much better fighter. His stand-up's better, his composure's better, and if he can mix up those straights with a takedown, that might be what he needs here.
He's one of the most composed guys, too. I mean, you already see him. He's back in there. He was able to he ate some shots to the back of the head, but he's back in there boxing. Now, Hackney, though, definitely looks like he's comfortable on his feet here.
But the way he's backing up, it's leaving the takedown wide open for Frank, though. He's really going to have to get off with something and judge his timing, because if he doesn't, he's pretty much lost this round. He needs to figure out some answers for round 2 and 3 so he can get ahead. He doesn't know his timing yet. He doesn't know if he can punch and not get taken down. He needs to find that out right now.
Nice leg kick coming out there, outside leg kick. Got to kind of continually work that if Frank's going and go back right to it.
Now that's a close round, so you're going to have to give it to the guy that didn't get a point taken away. So Hackney really should have answered some questions in that round with the timing, the footwork. Can he get off with his hands? Right now he doesn't know that. That round was almost guaranteed loss. That would have been a good round to explore that in. If he got taken down, he'd be no worse for the wear. He's not going to get a 10-8.
It's definitely going to be an interesting factor to go and see how it plays into Hackney's game plan later on in these rounds.
Yeah, especially.
If he's going to come out there knowing that this fight, there's no way that he can allow it to go to a decision. Best case now is that he's going to be able to work that draw. He's going to be looking to go and not throw some heavy bombs and end this at whatever cost. Could be very dangerous for both of these fighters.
It's going to be interesting to see what the judges do. I don't see him give a lot of draw rounds. Hackney definitely won that round if you don't take away the point. You know, now it's taken away. In my mind, it's a draw round, but these judges, you never know. A lot of times they just go ahead and give it to the person who didn't get a point taken away.
Millsap seems pretty comfortable and conversational here in his corner. I don't think the back of the head shots are playing too much of a factor anymore.
No, he's probably recovered from that. He may have a headache after the fight.
Round 2 coming up. Both guys looking to feel each other out and not necessarily engage as quick. Millsap eating up that leg kick. Hackney trying to answer back but can't judge the distance. Millsap working the clinch off the ropes.
I tell you what, I don't think Millsap expected that. I don't think he expected double underhooks.
I really don't think he expected that Hackney would come in there and try to out-grapple him. I mean, that's kind of Frank's bread and butter is his wrestling and his ability to maintain top position.
Yeah, now he's doing a good job with the overs. And the problem is...
Great takedown. Almost right to mount. Hackney was able to catch him in half guard here on the way down.
Now that's going to be frustrating for Hackney because he exerted a lot of energy and did not come out on top.
Yeah,
But he's got an excellent bottom game, though. Excellent.
Very active here in the bottom game. Frank went to go and pass that half guard and was unable to do it. Switch sides. See what Frank can go and do from the top.
Yeah, Kalvin's got very good timing and technique from the bottom. He's got great hips, great hip control, movement, and his timing's very good too. So let's see what he can do with this. He's good about getting his hips out, and that's what he's trying to do right now. He's going to fake the choke. He's going to fake the choke and hope to get some space.
Trying to create a little bit of space with the butterfly guard here and elevate Millsap.
Now, he's good with the underhooks. He'd like to get the underhook and catch that sweep because Frank's trying to stuff the knee, but it's going to be difficult with an underhook. It's almost a wasted attempt.
Frank, though, with his background, his wrestling background, I think he's going to be definitely confident in staying on top here. I mean, it's going to be tough for Hackney to pull this round out if he's going to stay on bottom.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised Hackney dropped the knee and let him have that. He let him have side mount when he dropped his knee.
Hackney trying to escape with an underhook right here.
Now, it's much more difficult to escape side mount than full mount. Much more difficult. If you have a guy good in side mount, it's extremely difficult to escape. The problem is Frank's not putting his weight on him right now. He's doing a traditional jiu-jitsu side mount.
Yeah, and that's able to go and let Hackney escape. We see him back up on the feet. Hackney going for the takedown.
Now, Hackney's got to get off. He's down in this round. He's losing the round.
Frank stepping in with a jab. Both fighters kind of maintaining that distance.
Frank's got a good jab, too. He's really been working that stand-up. His footwork looks good.
Frank's original opponent for this fight was Dan Lazon, brother of Joe Lazon, UFC veteran. And, coming into that, Dan Lazon's a young fighter, but Frank, up and coming, huge name in the sport. Frank didn't really think it was going to affect him at all. Dan had to drop out on short notice, and Kalvin came in here, but Kalvin looks like he's in great shape still for coming into this fight on short notice.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like he's in good shape, but, it doesn't look like he has a game plan, and sometimes when you take a fight short notice, that's the result.
Neither fighters are really able to go and get a good judge on the distance. Both guys kind of backing up.
Well, I tell you what, but Frank's landing body shots. He's getting his footwork in. He's timing things a little better. Kalvin looks a little confused in here, and sometimes when you take a fight short notice, that's one of the problems.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite aspects of the fight game is watching different fighters as if they're able to adapt and overcome because your original game plan coming in there might not work. You gotta be able to resort to plan B and C.
Yeah, and the truth is most fighters can't. You pull up 100 fighters, most of them can't make that change when it's necessary. That's the elite level.
Frank's trying to work some short knees here to the head. Hackney really digging this.
Frank's going to try to throw him. If it weren't for the ropes, he might even get away with it. Nah, that's going to be trouble. They're probably going to stand him up.
Frank coming back through. Frank in his last fight at Wild Bills suffered an injury where he went out of the ropes and was tossed out in a scramble and eating some right hands there. Trying to recover against the ropes with his underhook.
The problem is Kalvin keeps getting in these clinches and he doesn't come out better for it.
Oh, Frank is able to land a solid right. Lead leg kick. But Frank, though, coming out, was knocked out of the ropes, had about 11 minutes to go and recover, and that was one of the biggest reasons why we look, and see the addition of the fifth rope in every one of these MMA fights now, with the grappling aspect to the sport. Almost the second time here again that we see these guys going back out. He's a big, I asked him in our interview on Comcast On Demand Channel 1, Inside Punch. I was able to ask Frank if, what his attitude was about ring versus cage. It's a big debate in the sport.
Yeah, I fought in both plenty of times. I don't really have a preference. The ring's better for the spectators, but if you have a lot of this, it makes it difficult.
How do you see that round going to the judges' decision?
Well, I would have to give it to Frank. I mean, he when they got the quick exchanges, he was able to get the takedown. He was able to work a little bit. He landed more. I mean, he landed the body shots. He landed the kicks. He threw more. He was more offensive. Kalvin was just more defensive. Looks like he might be considering setting something up, maybe a big uppercut off a takedown, but Frank hasn't had to shoot yet. The only shot Frank did was round 1 when Kalvin threw a big punch. And I tell you what, being that he took it on short notice, he might have been looking for that 15-second knockout. Like he might not have planned a 15-minute war.
No, I think that you're definitely right, and it's going to play into it. We saw Kalvin just going out there and throwing some bombs, not really able to land it. Hard to judge that distance when you got an elusive guy like Frank. I too, yeah, it's hard for me to look at that from a completely objective point of view, but I think that I think that Frank definitely walked away from that round as a victor, but you never know. You never, as a fighter, want to leave that up to the judges' scorecards, no matter what.
Now you can see Frank's corner really working him on some punches, counters, stuff. So it's clear he's been working a lot of boxing. They're giving him tips on what he needs to land. Now Hackney's got some good hips. He might have thought Frank was just going to shoot on him the whole fight and was hoping to sprawl and brawl and uppercut. And this might throw him off. Once your mind's made up on a fight, sometimes it's difficult to make adjustments.
Coming into round 3, Kalvin's got to go and get a little bit of tape trimmed up here on his glove.
The worst thing you can do is underestimate your opponent. If you come into a fight, underestimate your opponent, that's one of the most difficult things to adjust and overcome.
Oh, I definitely agree. And I think both these fighters have a tremendous amount of respect for each other as you see them come together and touch gloves here at the start of the 3rd round. Frank looking completely comfortable and confident in the stand-up, but going for that takedown.
Now there's the excellent hips we talked about with Kalvin. I think he expected that. I think he expected that the whole fight. The problem is he needs to sprawl and brawl here.
Got Kalvin Hackney's corner here yelling at Millsap for diving out of the ring. That was almost an intentional thing. I don't know. It's hard to tell from the scramble.
Well, when you're at the ropes, I mean, it's going to be difficult. It's almost your duty to.
Oh!
Now that was
big headlock. That was it could have been a big mistake by Frank to go and to try to launch that dangerous position.
That was a mistake because he was winning the fight, and the first time he tried it, it didn't work. That's when Kalvin was able to hurt him.
Kalvin's biggest chance here is to finish this fight in this position.
Now that looked like a legal shot. That looked like a fair, legit shot on the year. Frank tapped out. It looked like a legitimate shot.
Kalvin went on to win it.
That's big power because we all know how tough Frank is. We know how tough he is. That probably ruptured his eardrum. I've seen that happen a lot. And that's extremely painful for anybody I've had it happen to me, not in training, but I've had it happen in life. And it's extremely painful. He's going to be deaf. His ears are going to be ringing. That's probably what happened.
Jeez, hope that he's all right. Frank's still down in the corner here.
You had that ruptured ear with a mild concussion, and that makes it doubly difficult.
Gee, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. Kalvin, big win for him over an experienced Frank Millsap.
Yeah, come in short notice, get that win. You know, that's going to be good for him.
That shows a lot of heart for him to be able to stand in this fight, you know, after losing that point in the 1st round, coming in and potentially losing the round in the 2nd round and having to finish the fight in the 3rd round. That shows a lot of heart and character from a fighter.
Yeah, he's got all the talent. We saw it. I mean, excellent hips, great timing from the bottom, good underhooks, good technique. The problem was it looked like his strategy was a little bit off. You know, he started to adapt properly in the 3rd round. You know, try to mix it up, little hands, sprawl and brawl. Get Frank to shoot so you can sprawl. A sprawl is good enough to pancake guys. His hips are good enough. And just like we saw with Dave Hewlett and Diamond Jones, if you pancake a guy, you can hurt him. That's what took a lot of energy out of Dave Hewlett. And that's what took a little bit out of Millsap here.
I think it may have taken just a little bit too much for Frank going for that headlock unsuccessfully and ended up getting finished. That's it for us at Wild Bill's Fight Night. Come and check us out again in September.
Another excellent night of fights. The fans are on their feet. Unbelievable action tonight. You know, people are looking forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's going to be great. We'll see you there.